Video. I've got the journalist of the moment, Margaret Brennan, host of Face the Nation, is interviewing. It's a big interview. Once a year, the president sits down before the Super Bowl. It's a ritual like the Super Bowl. And Margaret Brennan will be asking the questions of the president. Margaret, how are you preparing? Congratulations. How are you preparing?
Thank you very much. Geez, I mean, I've just been reading, going through questions, and as I was saying to one of your producers, it's more a question of what you don't ask than what you do, because there are about 1,000,001 topics to touch on with the president right now. He's in the middle of these China negotiations. He's on the cusp of the North Korea summit. Then we have the February 15th showdown over this deadline. Does he get the border wall funding through Congress, or does he go around them? And just so much to be pressing him on at the moment, including that conversation that he has been having in the public space about his intel chief.
Now, I want to propose to you to consider Venezuela. I just had Ambassador John Bolton on, and he said all options are on the table. He talks to the president many times a day about Venezuela and that the danger is the Cuban security forces. I'm curious if the president will talk to you about what would trigger a military intervention if the Cubans open fire Tiananmen Square style on the demonstrators, or the Venezuelan secret police do. Do you think President Trump would send troops in immediately?
I think it's a really important question, because the theme of the moment seems to be pulling troops back from foreign conflicts, whether it's in Syria or if it's in Afghanistan. The idea of sending American men and women into Venezuela when the public case hasn't been made yet as to why it's a national security concern is an important conversation. We need to hear that if that truly is one of the options on the table. And exactly what is the outcome here? You know, it was pretty quick of the United States to have endorsed Guaido. He seems to be saying all the right things right now as the interim president, but he hasn't had these major military figures pull away to his side yet. So it's that bigger question of, if you pick a side, can you make sure that side wins, and what does the outcome look like? Does he actually lead the opposition, or is he just part of a very fragmented one? What
I think will happen is that we would go in very quickly with Colombian and Brazilian troops and leave very quickly, because there is an opposition, there is oil, it's not Iraq, it's not Afghanistan, it's not a long-term deployment. I think we've learned that, but that would certainly, if it comes up, I'll listen closely. I've interviewed the president so many times, Margaret Brennan. One thing always strikes me is that he wanders in his answer, and he tends to filibuster, not intentionally, he just talks. And it's the best interview in America, because he'll say anything. What's your strategy to just let him go? Because some journalists hate to lose control of the flow. On the other hand, I think the flow tells you a lot.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, on the first point, but just to button up Venezuela, the smash and grab versus occupation thing is really worth debating, whether you can just go in and out. And maybe that is something that we hear the president reason through for us in this conversation. But you're right. I mean, the president has such a unique style of interview. And, you always want to be deferential to the office and not be improper in the conversation, but can you actually get an answer to the question you're seeking versus something else? But sometimes hearing someone reason through it is fascinating by itself.
Now, Margaret Brennan, during the debates in which I participate, and your friend Christopher knows this, my friend Christopher knows this, and you'll have John Dickerson. Everyone will be in your ear telling you how to do this. You got an audience of 20 million people, right? Everyone's got a suggestion. But we had a buzzer, right? When they went past a minute, the buzzer would sound, or a ding, ding. Right. Any way for you to have a buzzer for the president to know when he's gone on for 2 minutes at a time?
Other than producers giving us raps, or perhaps his advisor Bill Shine giving us raps, no. I mean, this is one of the things that we constantly hear from viewers, like, why did you interrupt here or there? And you're like, it's because I'm trying to get you the answer, or you're trying to move through. And it's always a judgment call, as you know, as to when to let it go and when to continue to refocus.
So preparing for the debates, I had the wonderful Mark Preston from CNN playing Donald Trump, and he would yell at me and he would insult me, et cetera. And that's therefore I was ready. Are you doing mock interviews to prepare?
I've reasoned through it with my team. Yeah, I don't have a perfect Donald Trump impersonator on the Face the Nation squad. Perhaps I need one.
Like John Dickerson is the anti-Trump, so that's not going to help you at all. He's the opposite of Donald Trump. But you could borrow Preston. I would suggest that. But, I mean, really sit down and do what the president does. He did it yesterday with the New York Times reporters. Have you read that interview yet?
I did. The two-part. There was the Maggie Haberman part. There was the Sulzberger part where he talked about defending the press.
Yeah, he did it again, which is it doesn't matter what the question is. He tells you what he wants to say.
Yep. You got to have a thick skin in this business.
Oh, I know. This is the Hyman Roth rule. This is the business we have chosen. Have fun. I mean, it's a big stage. What time does it actually happen? It's got to be a hard number.
Yes. In the I think this later in the early afternoon for us, before the president departs for Mar-a-Lago. So I got that up against me too.
And do you have a guaranteed amount of time, and if so, how much?
I believe we should be talking for about a half hour or so, but we'll see what happens when we get there. That could be shorter. That could go longer, depending on what the president chooses to do. Obviously, for us journalists, we always want to get in more, so I would hope it would go longer. But like I said, he's going to Mar-a-Lago this afternoon, so I don't know. If it's between me and sunny Florida, I may not win. My
last question, will we see everything that's on the record? Because sometimes, to edit purposes, they have to jam it into halftime or before the show, but there's still that tape. Right. Will we eventually see it all on Face the Nation on Sunday or the next week? Right.
I would like to use every piece of this, absolutely. I believe most of the first part of my show, Face the Nation on Sunday at 10:30, will have this at 10:30 Eastern, and then in the pregame and the 3 o'clock hour on the sports broadcast, there will be another portion that airs there, and you'll probably see more on evening news and the morning show throughout the week. I look forward to it. Congratulations, Margaret Brennan. Have a good time with President Trump on Super Bowl Sunday. Follow her on Twitter at Marg Brennan.